Hey everybody! So I'm super duper excited about today's video because it's something that is really important to me and really personal to me. I'm going to be talking about a deck that has been reprinted in a new second edition that has really quickly become a deck that resonates with me on a deep and personal level. And it's a deck that I don't read with for clients. It's a deck that I don't even use in any of my Instagram posts or social media, because for me it really is the deck that speaks to my inner voice, and it confronts me with things that I don't always necessarily want to be confronted with, and it really just kind of digs in and it gets me. And so when I heard that they were doing a second edition printing where they were really taking into account of a lot of feedback that was given for the first two versions of the first edition, I was really excited. And it's everything I hoped for and more. And so today we're going to be diving into the Marielle Tarot second edition. Hey Tarot Tribe, it's Dustin from A Modern Metaphysic Man, and today I thought we could hang out and take a trip through the Marielle Tarot by Mary White. I'm super duper excited about this deck because it is a deck that I've worked with in the past pretty extensively. I knew when I got the first edition that it was going to be a cornerstone of my tarot practice. And when I heard that a second edition was being created that took into account a lot of feedback from the tarot community, I was pretty excited. So full disclosure, this video is going to be a little bit more of a first reactions review than an in-depth review. I'm going to talk about the changes that they made from the second edition and the first, and do a little bit of comparison with some stuff from the first, and just kind of talk about my thoughts on this version of the deck specifically. So yeah, it is it's a really wonderful deck. It's one of my favorites, and the changes that they have made I'm really excited for. The box itself is very much like the first edition box. It is shorter. The cover art is almost identical. The sides just kind of have examples. The back has your usual description and things like that. You can pause if you'd like to read that. And it does have a magnetic closure, which, you know, that's always nice. And it is a pretty sturdy box. When you open it, on the inside lid, you'll find a really nice logo on the inside. And then in the box portion, you'll find the book. Now, the book is the exact same number of pages as the first edition book. However, the book is now in color, which is a really nice change. Other than that, I have not gone through it with enough of a fine-tooth comb to determine whether or not it is any different. But the thing that I'm the most disappointed with in this edition of the deck is this. It like is junk. It's 110% awful. So the deck was hugely upgraded, and the box saw a massive downgrade, which is disappointing to say the least. And we all know me and tarot boxes. But you know what? We can live with that for right now. The book is, like I said, the same number of pages. It is in full color now. So as you can see, there are full color illustrations throughout the book of the cards, where the first edition was black and white. It is my understanding that there have been revisions. However, full disclosure, I have not verified that, so I can't really speak to that. But it is nice to see it in full color, which is absolutely lovely. And as I had mentioned, since I got this from the creator directly, I got it signed, which is really wonderful. I love it. So that was exciting. Now, the deck itself is really nice. It is it's edged in black, which is pretty cool. And it is noticeably smaller than the first edition. So here's a first edition card. in comparison, right? And as you can see, it is definitely slightly smaller than the original first edition of the deck. Now, that being said, the card backs are pretty much the same. And as far as card size goes, this is a standard tarot card size. So that's the first edition, much larger. The second edition is a little bit smaller, but the same, but a little bit wider. So pretty much standard tarot size. The card stock is pretty nice. It is a matte cardstock. So the first edition, of course, has this nice glare. The second edition has a lamination, but it's not as shiny. So it is more of a matte finish, which is really nice. And yeah, let's take a look at the cards. So what we'll do now is we'll do a nice little flip through, and at the end we'll come back and I will do some comparisons with some of the cards that have changed from one edition to the other. And then I will also just kind of talk about my feelings of the changes and the deck itself. So yeah, let's check out the Mariel Tarot second edition. So that is the Mariel Tarot second edition. So quickly, let's talk about the 3 cards that were changed in this edition of the deck. The 3 cards that were swapped out were, and these are from the first edition, so the High Priestess, the Hierophant, and the Three of Swords. And obviously the deck is now borderless, right? So these are the bordered versions from the first edition. So these are the original artworks, and there were a lot of people who struggled with the imagery on some of these, specifically the Hierophant, right? Which is very confronting for a lot of people. I never really had much of an issue with the original Three of Swords. I thought it was really a beautiful depiction of the Three of Swords. And it is important to note too that the deck doesn't super adhere to traditional RWS sort of system, right? And so for me, it's you know, it's always been kind of about that. I've actually always kind of enjoyed this High Priestess, and so I was a little sad to see this version of the art go. So just for comparison's sake, here we have the new Three of Swords, the new Hierophant, and the new High Priestess. And as you can see, it has switched to much more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Much more of a traditional RWS style, right? With the heart being pierced by the swords, right? With, you know, the key here, which is still represented in this card, but you have a little bit more of a traditional depiction here. And then of course this is very RWS with the pillars and the water. And I love the fact that she's cloaked and the Torah is there in fire, which I thought was really beautiful. But those are the three cards that changed from the version to the other. I did not notice any other changes, so if I overlooked one, I do apologize. Again, I've had this deck for like, I think not even 48 hours now, so I was just really excited and I wanted to share it with you all. So those are the three changes to the deck. Now, the cardstock being matte and borderless, I think is wonderful. I loved the borders on the deck, but it works for me borderless as well. I've never been a huge proponent of borderless decks, so I was really indifferent to that change. The edging is nice. It's not anything mind-blowingly great, but it's nice that I don't have to, you know, Sharpie the edge of my deck. I did still prefer the gold edging of the original edition over the black edging that they've chosen to put on this one. The quality of the original edition, first edition, well, the second printing of the first edition was better. And it is worth noting that there are multiple printings of the first edition. There is a version that does not have the gold edging, and then there is one that has gold edging. So just for comparison's sake, I also wanted to show you two of the same cards so you can kind of get a sense of the print quality and how it's pretty much the same, right? They did a really good job of maintaining the level of contrast within the matte version of the deck that existed with the first editions of the deck. So I really appreciate that. So yeah, that is the Mariel Tarot. It's a deck for me that is very personal. In fact, it's one I do not read for clients with because of my personal connection with it. It is something that I only use to read for myself. And in fact, that's probably why I haven't really done a walkthrough of it, because it's a really personal deck to me. I find the artwork just exquisite. Path working for this deck is something else. But you know, these are some of my favorite cards, right? There's so much esotericism, so much symbolism within these cards that it is just an experience unto itself. Like the Baphomet here, with all of the symbolism around him, is just magnificent. This Nine of Swords was one that I struggled with when I very first started reading with the deck because it is non-traditional. you know, so this deck is very much a deck that I would say is not for beginner readers. That being said, if you connect with it and you're a beginner and you are just absolutely in love with it, go for it. You know, I definitely am not a gatekeeper in any way, and you know, if you resonate with this is my favorite card in the entire deck, the Five of Cups with the unicorn. If you resonate with it in a way that is meaningful and you want to learn with this, go for it. I think it's just, it is such a powerful deck, and you can tell that Mary White really took the time to create a deck that is just full of magic. I mean, there's just no other way of explaining how amazing this deck is. Every time I read with it, it just gives me a gut punch to my feels because of how accurate it is, because of how it confronts me with things that I don't want to be confronted with or that I struggle with. I absolutely love this Hermit. The Hermit is just, oh, it's so good. So yeah, it's an amazing deck. And so if you don't have a copy of it, I would highly recommend you checking it out. And of course, another one of my favorites in the deck is the Magician because of the Metatron's Cube. So yeah, that is the Mariel Tarot 2nd edition. As I had mentioned, it should be coming out on Amazon in the next week or two. So definitely look for it. I love this edition of the deck. This is going to become the edition that I use regularly for reading for myself, and I'm definitely going to get a backup of it. I simply love it. So bravo for all of the changes, for listening to the feedback. It is everything that I hope for and more, except for the box. The box stinks. So if anyone is listening from Red Feather / Schiffer, step up your game on your boxes, because those little cardboard trays are garbage. But yeah, let me know if you have the Mariel Tarot in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear from you. As always, with all of my videos, I will make sure that I put links in the description below of where you can find this deck, of where you can connect with me, all of my social media, where you can get a personal reading from me on my website. All of that will be down there, as well as a link to the new collaborative channel between myself, Lisa from Supportive Tarot, and Dani from Dani Mystic. We've created an awesome new collaborative channel called 3 Fat Readers, where we're going to talk about tarot and tarot being a part of the everyday life and things like that. And so I'm really excited about that. Definitely check that out. As always, thank you guys so much for all of your love and support. I can't even express to you guys how much it means to me that every day I get on YouTube and there's just an outpouring of just love and support and thankfulness. You know, I do this for myself because it's fun and meaningful to me, and the fact that you guys get something out of it is just like icing on the cake. So thank you guys so much for coming to hang out and look at some tarot cards with me. I super appreciate it. And as always, remember, everyone's fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So be kind, always. Bye, everybody.